Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Well-Rounded Wealth podcast. This is episode 32. Jack, how we doing?
We're doing well. We're doing really well. I'm not lagging. We've been having a lagging issue with me on my end, but I'm looking good so far. Okay, sweet. It's looking
Just
good.
this instance where whenever Jack walks, or like he's so suave that he just goes in slow-mo. It's like one of those movie
It
stars
just
now.
the
That
human eye catches it at slow motion.
it's like
No, we're
30.
looking good.
It's like 90 frames per second instead of 60.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just going real slow.
Okay, but it's looking good. It's looking good.
We're
So
good.
I'm happy. Take 4. Let's run it. Let's do this episode.
Okay.
Yeah, welcome back, everybody. Patrick, I'm seeing a new location in your background.
Yep. A little bit of a switch up. So I have moved into a new place and have finally gotten some stuff unpacked. I was living like you were, quote unquote, stereotypical uh, boy with no women's touch for the past 2 weeks. It was.
Wait, so what did you have access to?
Yeah, I'll walk everyone through the process. So I left with my old roommate, basically all my stuff, like some of the old like living room furniture, kitchen furniture, all the plates, kitchen supplies, because I was like, I'm just gonna get a new one.
Mhm.
I move in, and I'm in the middle of this big deal. So for the past 2 weeks, all I've had and all I set up when I moved in was my desk, my computers, and my bed. Like that was it. Everything else was in boxes or bags in the living room area, just sitting there. I had one plate. I had 2 cups. Like, I don't even have a table, like a kitchen table. So like I was eating at my desk. Like I was
Wait, do
living
you
out
have
of a
anything in
suitcase.
the kitchen to eat, like a kitchen counter or anything like that?
I have a kitchen counter, like so I can cook and stuff. But I
But you
didn't.
didn't eat there.
No, I like just sat because like I don't have I don't have like a bar stool like island or anything. It's like a standing kitchen counter. So like I was like, oh, where am I gonna sit? I'm like, all right, well I have one seat, so like I guess it's there. So
Do you have a couch
um,
yet for like the living room or anything?
no, I'm getting one. Actually, it's in the back of my car. I just have to get it out and put that in there. Some other essential living. I took probably like 5 or 6 hours on Friday and was like, all right, I need to go and just get some living essentials. So I have plates now. I have some
That's
cups,
good.
got
Nice.
pans and stuff. But yeah, so I have the basics. But I'm renovating the place anyway, so I'm living simply. So
That's hype.
if anyone ever lays eyes upon my place in the next month, don't judge me. It's gonna look at the
It's
end
gonna
of
be a
it.
work in progress.
Yes. Yeah. So my bed's not on the ground. Don't worry. I'm not one of those guys.
You have a bed frame?
I have a bed frame. It is
That's
it
good.
is a
That's
foot
good.
off the ground. as we nowadays symbolize that as you've made it.
You've made
Getting a
it when your bed
frame.
isn't on the ground.
Hell
I
yeah.
wouldn't even mind that from like a vibe point, like just sleeping low. I have a bed frame. I mean, it's behind me,
Yeah.
but I
Trust me,
wouldn't hate be. You've
it's
done
better.
it.
So, in college, my last year, because I knew I was graduating early, so I was like, I don't want to spend money on a bed because I was moving out of the dorms and got an apartment. So I was like,
Right.
screw it. I'm taking my old bed from when I was like a kid. I put 2 twin beds together on the ground, and like there was this strap that went around them, and I like conjoined them together. So, and they were uneven. It was probably like about an inch off. So it was like you're like laying like this. So
Oh,
like
that's
I
so funny.
ended up just sleeping on one side of the bed. And it was funny because I had a girlfriend at the time, and it was always just like she's stuck in the crack. The 2 beds that are together. But
That's really
yeah,
funny.
I won't do that again.
That's
It's
understandable.
convenient if it's by yourself because you're just like like you kind of just roll over on the bed.
Right.
But yeah, it's it was a funny time. I was like, I actually had the same setup. I had a dresser, I had 2 beds on the ground, and I had my desk with my computers on But
It's all you needed.
I'm a simple man, guys.
How are you cooking? Did you have your kitchen supplies?
Ah, great question, John. For the last 2 weeks, I've been living off rotisserie chicken. Pretty much every day.
So
From
glad I
Harris
asked that
Teeter.
question.
I was like, do
I
I
mean,
want to
it's
cook
not a
or
bad diet.
no? I
That's
mean, it works. I've
that's
stayed healthy.
apparently what the Marvel actors do whenever they need to get absolutely jacked. They just say they eat rotisserie chicken and broccoli every day. Who knows if
Yeah,
that's true?
no,
There might be steroids involved.
yeah, a little bit of a little bit of needles and some experimental usage. No, but I was literally like, all right, I either because the stove I have right now it's a little older, so I know I'm gonna gut it out and replace it anyway. So I'm like, I either go buy a pan and then cook on this whole thing. That's just gonna be, inefficient, probably gonna piss me off, or I'm like, fuck it, rotisserie chicken day 6.
Wait, so your thought process was, do I get cooking supplies, but not the ones I really prefer? Or do I just get rotisserie chicken because even if I have variety in what I'm cooking, if it's not perfect to the exact way I used to do it, it won't be worth
Yeah, I'm
it.
very
That's fair.
particular. No, but it was more around like because I know I'm taking all the cabinets out of the kitchen and stuff, so like I don't want to put stuff in there and have to take it out because I'm tearing them all out. So I'm
That
like,
isn't it. Yeah.
yeah. So I was like, I'm just, what? I'm thinking in the future a little bit. Like I'm just gonna save myself the pain in the ass of packing everything up, unloading it. Um, so
Well,
yeah,
how long?
Harris
So
Teeter
how long is this gonna be? This process of
of
um,
renovating.
of renovating? Yeah, at least the kitchen cabinets and things like that.
I'd say it'd probably take a month or two,
Gotcha.
but
So
I'm gonna
rotisserie
spread it
chicken for
out.
the next month or two.
I'm just gonna be a chicken in 2 months, man. I'm just gonna be gobbling on this fucking podcast.
Honestly, I don't even have that big of a right to make fun of this because I pretty much eat the same thing every day.
Dude, it's
Like,
great.
yeah, I do. I do eggs, and I do a little egg sandwich. Like, throw some cheese on there, some salt and pepper, and some sourdough. I freaking love
Mm,
sourdough bread. I
it's
get the
good
Trader
sourdough
Joe's,
bread.
and I pretty much do that every morning for my breakfast. Sometimes I'll switch it up a little bit. Bought some bacon at the store the other day. I'm gonna throw some bacon in there. I'm gonna
Oh,
cook up some bacon.
there you go.
Um, my lunches are either like sandwiches with lunch meat that I get at the store, or I do some pasta, or maybe a little frozen dish from the Trader Joe's section of frozen food. I did a lasagna today for Sunday. Um,
Oh,
yeah, and then dinner's
what's up,
usually
John
pasta of
Boyardee?
some sort. And I just don't know. I don't know how to cook that much, and I mean, I don't know. I should just like throw some other stuff into my routine,
I,
if I'm being
dude,
honest.
honestly, like, I mean, I've gone through every single diet, and I mean, you guys have heard, and for anyone new that might be listening, like, I've done everything or pretty much everything.
Right.
And I think once you find like your meal that you can just stick to and eat like the same thing every day, it takes out, especially if you're trying to be like health conscious, it like takes out that like, oh my God, what should I eat this? Can I eat this? Like, these macros. And I think that's a great thing. And then you just supplement it with like, hey, if you're going out to dinner tonight, it's like, all right, I'm gonna change breakfast up a little bit because I know I'm gonna have a good dinner or something like that. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
It does make dinners like that more special.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed. Like
Yeah.
if you are going out, it like truly does feel like a treat. You're like, oh my God, like I'm going out to dinner. I'm getting some like good food cooked by not me.
Yep.
It actually feels sick. I
Yeah.
used to hate going out to dinner when I was a kid. I absolutely hated it. And my parents were
Really?
so annoyed at how much I hated it. And like my sister, I don't remember my sister loving it either. She liked it definitely more than me. And this is when we were young. Like I'm talking like elementary school young. Um, and I hated it. I was like, I don't want to go anywhere. We're here. Let's just be here. Let's just hang out here.
Yeah.
Be like a Friday
I
night. I'm like, I just want to be here. I don't want to get in the back seat of the minivan and drive to some restaurant to get the kids grilled cheese
the
or the
the
kids
chicky
cheese
fingers.
pizza or the kids chicken fingers. However, if the kids menu had a maze on it, that was a bit of a game changer. I loved the mazes on the kids menus. But that was all I liked on the kids menus.
Yeah. So I think I have always liked it. I'm a little bit of a foodie. Like I enjoy Chef Pat. You should pop up.
Yeah.
You should pop up. God, if we could edit these videos, you pop up that picture of me like cooking freaking omelets at 3 a.m.
Oh,
at your
I
house.
actually totally could. I still have some of those in my vault of saved videos.
You should try.
I should try to
But
find something.
yeah, they so I like going, like I'll go out to dinner sometimes just by myself to try a new place. I think it's
Yeah.
enjoyable. So
Yeah, I get
um
that.
yeah,
It
very
also hit me
nice.
how expensive it is to go out versus eating at home.
Yeah. Yeah. So well, I guess on the rotisserie chicken diet, it's been like about even. Because it's like $8 for a chicken. Like
How
$9.
many chickens are you
So
eating a day? The whole
I
thing?
so I really just eat one meal a day, pretty much. That's what I've been doing.
Gotcha. Is
Which
that one?
is
Are
fine.
you eating the whole chicken?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That
Damn.
chicken does not stand a chance.
So you're eating a chicken a day.
Yeah, pretty much. I either
That's
do
insane.
like
And that's been
because
2 weeks. That's been 14 chickens in 14 days.
not every single day I've eaten chicken, but like pretty
Yeah.
much it's definitely been about you know 10 chickens for sure. I can comfortably say 10 chickens have been
That's awesome.
consumed by one guy in 2 weeks.
That's so awesome.
Um,
I love that so much.
but like that's really my diet though, is like chicken, ground turkey, or steak, like, and fish occasionally. Yeah, that's pretty much all I eat.
Ain't nothing wrong
So
with that, man.
nope.
No
Chickens
judgment
beware,
from
man.
me. That sounds like a good diet to me. I love chicken. I think I eat chicken every day as well. Not full
Yeah.
ones, but if I could, I would.
You can do it. Yeah, like I enjoy fasting, especially in the morning, like fasted workouts and stuff like that. So yeah, I pretty much I'll drink like the AG1 and electrolytes in the morning, and then I'm just that's what gets me through until about dinner time, and I'm good. So
I've been unintentionally doing that.
yeah,
I wake up, consume electrolytes. Yesterday, Cole and I did a workout. My roommate, we did lifting, like we did like a kind of a push day, and then he did a jump rope routine with me. And I didn't have any food beforehand, and I was like feeling like shit by the end of that. It was
I
rough.
thought you
Like,
were gonna
it's
say.
probably
I thought you were gonna say like, and I felt great. I was like, yeah, see.
no. I was like, my stomach.
Like, no, I felt like
My stomach was growling. My like body was feeling weak. And also, we did we did it outside the jump rope, and it was like in the 90s yesterday. That was kind of a reason why we did it, because like it's kind of like, oh, it's like the hottest day of the year. Like let's shred the jump rope out there and let's go for it. So by the end, I was like dripping in sweat. Like there were probably 0 calories. There's probably nothing left to burn because I hadn't eaten anything. Yeah. so
Jack's just 0% body fat. There's nothing left to burn.
No, like, okay. Like I had not consumed any calories in probably the past 12 hours, and then I burned a ton. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know this with you. Please feed Jack. Jack needs chickens.
So like I was like dead. I was like, I need food, and I need food now, and I need more water. I was like, I need cheese. Good lord. And then I did, but it was great. It did still feel great, like after it was completed, especially like doing the burnout. It was one of those like, yes, I need food, but I do feel good.
Yeah.
I feel really good. I feel really accomplished, but if I don't have something soon, I might pass out.
Yeah, and you definitely have to like train yourself to get on those type of diets because I mean the society we grow up in is like, oh, you eat your breakfast and then your lunch and then your dinner. But if you look back, um, even 100 years ago, like, people didn't eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That was not a concept that everyone had. So I've
When did
kind of
that
gotten.
start?
I forget when it started, but it was the whole propaganda around breakfast. Um, when did breakfast become a thing? Let's see. Um, okay, yeah, and during the Industrial Revolution, okay, so 1860, so maybe a little bit more than 100 years ago, but um, it was breakfast is break fast. So it's more
Mm-hmm.
like it was like farther along ago. So 1600s is, I guess, when it came to like be, but it wasn't necessarily um, normalized until the Industrial Revolution because that's when the whole entire concept around, you have your 9 to 5. So it's like you break fast in the morning and then you do lunch break and then you have your dinner break. So it kind of just scheduled people out. But like, yeah,
I
you
see.
you your body really does not need to eat at 3 times throughout the day. So
Do you think
like
you
the
can just
whole
eat one, and you think that's a healthy thing?
yeah, it obviously depends. A few factors depends on if you're training for anything, um, your body specifically, like what you're very receptive to. Like for some people who are especially like insulin receptive or stuff like that, if they have a bunch of carbs in the morning or they don't have any sugars in the morning, um, like they could crash really early in the day. So it's
Mm-hmm.
a little bit personal specific, but I do believe that you go back 150 years, 200 years, 100 years, whatever it is, that every person could 100% exist on just one meal a day or even um, not eating every day. So, because I mean, our diets, especially in America, we eat a lot of food. Like, we
Mm-hmm.
eat a
Yeah,
lot
we
of
do.
food. I mean, you even look at Europeans and Asian cultures, they eat probably a quarter of what we eat. Like Europeans, they'll have a coffee and maybe a croissant for breakfast. And then they have, a glass of wine and like an appetizer or something for lunch. And then they have this big, more familial style dinner. And I think that was a lot more normal back then. And that's I guess somewhat of what I follow. So like I'll try and get all my calories in at the end of the day, but I'm doing it consciously to where like of those calories that I'm eating at the end of the day, I know I need to eat a certain way in order to fuel my morning workout and
Mm-hmm.
then also my afternoon workout.
I
So
see.
yeah,
So you're
but
doing two workouts too. Two workouts on
yeah,
like not a lot of food consumption.
hmm I do 2 workouts pretty much every day. Like
Is
2 active things.
is it what kind of workouts is it? Are they different from each other? I'm guessing.
Yeah, usually like a run or usually morning is like a run or yoga, and then afternoon's a lift
Gotcha.
slash like hit workout. Um, Today knocked out 10 miles, so it's feeling good. Yesterday was like
Nice.
8 mile bike ride and mountain bike ride and a lift. So yeah, which also not normal. Would not recommend everyone do that. Don't take this as advice. I I was talking to some
You're
buddies
just
the other day.
crazy.
Yeah, I have a screw loose. Don't worry. I'll admit it. I was talking to some buddies the other day, and I was like telling them, I was like, yeah, it's I've been doing my morning runs and lifts in the afternoon. They're like, how long have you been doing 2 days? I was like, I don't know, like every day. They're like, that's not normal. I was like, yeah, I guess. Yeah, you have a point. I must try to tell you that. But I mean, that's what I grew up doing. Like even in high school and playing a college sport, you wake up, you work out, and you practice later or something like that. So I guess it's little, my body's more used to it.
I get that.
So
I definitely understand that perspective of like you have an activity that is kind of a workout in and of itself, but then you also just worked out as well. So that does make
yeah,
sense that you've gotten used to like kind of a twice a day kind of mentality with that.
yeah. And I think we talked about it last time, or one of the, or maybe I was talking with a friend, like the whole hybrid athlete thing, where it's like people are running and lifting. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that that's just an athlete. Like
Yeah.
unless there is an extent to like where people are running ridiculously long miles and lifting super heavy, that I would call a hybrid athlete. But like if you go out and run 3 miles and then have a lifting workout in the afternoon, like dude,
Yeah.
that was that
That's,
was that was every day for the past 10 years of my life. Like, and then we had to practice
yeah.
on top of that and play games. Like you're just training. Like
Yeah. That's, I mean, that's what y'all always did. I mean, what sport do you not lift for at all and nor do
do cardio.
cardio at all?
Yeah. Yeah,
Like you
seriously.
always do both, no matter
Yeah.
what it is. I could see someone's mind saying that like soccer is very cardio based, but I know for a fact that they also lift all the time,
Yeah. Yeah, you have
especially
to.
leg
And
strength.
football.
Leg strength is everything, and of
Yeah.
course football. Yeah, that's a lot of conditioning from a cardiovascular level. And I mean, if you're a lineman, you're all you're doing is lifting too.
Yeah, you got to be freaking huge. I would say they probably do a little less cardio, but like basketball, you're doing,
I'm
I
sure, but
guarantee
like at
you.
their practices, I'm sure they're they're running sprints and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
But
they're,
yeah,
I,
I would say probably for a lineman, it's they get their cardio when they're actually practicing and playing the sport, and then
yeah,
then it's their lifting in the gym when they're not at
yeah.
practice.
Dude, I can't imagine living at that size. Like, I'm pretty heavy right now. Like, I'm probably 215, 220 pound on like a daily basis. And like, those guys are
Mm-hmm.
100 pounds more than me.
It is pretty
Like,
nuts,
that's freaking, and they probably are as fast as me, which is
dude.
stupid.
I weigh like 145. Just so we can. I know it's just neck up for people for any visual watchers, but Patrick is significantly larger than me. It's like I
But
Pat
Jack
the
has
what
0% body fat. Oh wait, we missed that. The other part.
like what you're saying about linemen right now and how you can't imagine that's like me imagining like being your size from my
That's
perspective.
like that's like you carrying me on your back every day.
It is. Wait, so what'd you say? You're like 215? Is that what you said?
215, 220. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like 145 ish. Yeah,
Dude,
I mean
that's
that's
like,
like it's like
I
370
mean,
or something like that, 380.
yeah. Like I move a lot, like I run a lot, but like running with an extra 100 pounds, like God, no wonder their knees are messed up. Like
Yeah,
that's a
uh,
that's a
that's a
big
lot of weight.
boy.
That is like
That's a
you
freaking
running with me on your back.
dude. Yeah, I know.
It's crazy.
It's stupid. Well, this is nothing to
Yeah,
do with what we were planning on talking about today, but for the last
not
25
even kind of,
minutes,
but I'm kind of
yeah,
enjoying it.
this has been
Yeah, so we're
your health talk about with Jack and I.
at.
um,
Yeah, so
so
Patrick works. What we have learned, Patrick works out twice a day. I do not, and and Patrick is bigger than me than most of you probably realize. That's what we've learned.
and I eat chickens.
And you eat
Just
chickens
devour,
like a motherfucker.
just devour chickens.
And I eat eggs, so I eat before they're hatched. That's what I'm eating. So yeah. Anyways, what were we talking about today?
We
Providing
were gonna talk.
value when not asked, right?
Yes, giving without asking or expecting anything in return. Um, Just like the chickens, they didn't. They give to me, but I'll never give them anything back.
Yeah, well, yeah, you ate them.
I was trying to segment that, but
yeah, I mean, great segue. No, it's you're not wrong. That chicken gave you everything. Okay, all right. We can do this. We can snipe this transition. Okay, okay. So yeah, so we were talking about kind of providing value when no one's asking, where no one's expecting it, and kind of how that can be beneficial to you in many ways, not just more than one, like kind of as in a personal life standpoint, also like a career standpoint, which kind of bleeds into financial standpoint, and like yeah, value is everything at the end of the day, and what you bring to the table is definitely how your value is measured, not only from a financial standpoint but also from an emotional standpoint as well. So what was the first point on your mind when you kind of brought up talking about this, Patrick?
I think everyone thinks of giving as a very external thing, which it is. Like the process of giving is taking something you possess or a skill you have and bestowing it upon another person or group. However, I think, if people just flip the narrative of it and looked at how it actually makes them feel, like one of my favorite things and one of the things I get the most joy from is giving. Like being able to provide value at no cost to other people is such a blessing, and just makes you just make you feel good. Um, because when you see that reaction on another person's face, knowing that you've what are you laughing about?
I'm sorry. No, please keep going. Please keep going. I'm thinking about everything you're saying in the most inappropriate way you could think of. keep that look on their face when you just give. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm off my shit today. I'm off my shit today.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, when you give, they don't expect anything.
I'm talking to. God, now I have to frame this in a way that's not going to sexualize Jack's mind.
No, I'm good. I got it out. So we're okay.
When you give to a friend, and you know that they're at a loss of words for the thing that you have given them,
keep going.
then I think that allows you to know that, like, hey, I've incrementally helped this person's life and expect nothing in return. Bro, you gotta get out whatever you have in there. Just let out like a pipsqueak laugh.
That was so bad, dude. I feel like I'm like back in like the classroom where like I think it's something funny and you just can't laugh, and it just makes you want to laugh even more when like the teacher's teaching. That's exactly what I feel like. But yeah, no, okay. I am on your page. I think, really giving to a person, and just seeing how great it makes them feel is awesome. And sometimes you may not even get anything back in return. Lord knows I've been in that situation. Perhaps you have too, Patrick.
All right. Why don't you just tell us what the situation that is in your head? Would you like to share with the class,
like,
Jack?
I'm thinking of a more, in the bedroom situation. That's all. I don't want to take it further than that. Friends and family listen to this.
Good Lord. All right, this is gonna be the funny bullshit episode.
This has been the best episode ever.
Without asking. Is what you're trying to say.
It's
And you will
always
please your
important to
partner.
ask. It's- let's
Oh my
let's make that clear.
god.
Let's make that clear. um.
How did we go from eating chickens and just
Oh,
to you
I could tell you. I could there's a
to
really easy segue there.
what? Oh, okay.
Okay. All right.
Either you just watched a movie that had some sexual component in it, or just this man's horny.
That's that is false, and I detest such accusations. I don't even know what you're talking about. Okay, I'm done. Let's really get into it and actually talking about providing value without being asked. Um, here's what I thought of when you first sent it. I was thinking of it from a very technical and kind of corporate scenario. For example, like, you know, the skills that you have and the value that you can provide to somebody is exactly why someone would pay you money. Um, and the more valuable of skills that you acquire, the more amount of money you'll likely to be paid by someone. It's all about how useful you are to somebody else. The more elite your skills are, the more kind of um, like the less competition. Like you're one of the only people that has sort of skills. So the more niche of a skill you have, definitely makes you more valuable. For example, I mean, a lot of it's been kind of gate kept by colleges, right? So like degrees. Um, if you have a if you have your doctoral degree, your medical degree, then you are extremely valuable versus um, versus someone who just has their bachelor's. And from a money standpoint, if you have a master's degree in something, that usually kind of equates to more money, which is why people are willing to spend the money to get that degree because it opens the door to more opportunities to make your money back and eventually pay off any debt that you may have.
True, and I mean, I think our point was like we're talking about giving without asking anything in return, or just being able to. So, like in the education and career space, you're saying almost someone who's hired who has a greater qualification, being
Mm-hmm.
that they have a master's or doctorate. Um, what about someone uh, who doesn't have one of those, or it's in an instance where it's not required? Like, even
Mm-hmm.
if you do have one of those, what is your perception of providing value to someone without asking for compensation in any way, shape, or form?
I would say, and is this still kind of from a business perspective or is this an anything perspective?
Yeah, in the business sense.
I mean,
Like,
I
what are the
did it
pros and cons of that?
once. I did it once when I was trying to get the attention of this. He was a comedian and he had a big podcast, and I got his contact info, and I reached out once, and like he responded, like just to being interested in working for him and offering to help him, and like briefly told him what I could do. He was like, "Oh, okay, that sounds cool. Like maybe we could set something up sometime." And then I followed up and actually edited his content for him and showed him the content. And that was kind of like a demonstrating my value kind of moment where it's like,
Yeah,
and I was kind of like, here, I was just messing around editing. You feel free to use these if you want to. So it's basically like, here's what I can do for you. There it is, right there. I like literally presented the value.
yeah,
Um,
I
and that caught his attention much more.
yeah, yeah. I think if it's quality too of what you give, and I think it always should be quality. You should always have the goal of leaving an interaction having given more than um, you received, because it's also a psychological backdrop to that. As
Mm-hmm.
humans, we feel that people who have given us something, we are inclined to feel almost indebted to them. So it's like
Gotcha.
we need to go back, and it's like, oh crap, I know, like Jack gave me that thing one time, so like I need to give him this opportunity. Um, and I think that's not necessarily that you are giving for that to trigger that, but it's almost a tool in your arsenal saying like, hey, I've provided value to you before. Like, what else can I help with? What other opportunities can you open my door to, knowing that I'm willing to go above and beyond another person in the same field?
Interesting.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean the competition levels introduced in that aspect too.
and that's why I think you go into a competitive field, if you have the bandwidth to do it, like give for free, because you are then practicing, right? Like if you're say you're video editing, um, just start giving for free, like to practice your video editing, because you'll by giving that one, you'll people will let you know if it's good or if it's bad. If you don't get a reply or you don't get a lot of traction off of it, probably can be improved. And then if you do get a lot of traction, you're on the right path. So keep iterating on those things.
That's true. And if someone doesn't want your content and it's free, that's pretty telling that you have some work to do before you could even
Sign on to it.
monetize whatever it is you're doing. Because if someone doesn't
Yep.
even want your work for free, then why would anyone pay for it?
Yeah. And I think there's a Warren Buffett's got a great story. It's like when he went to work, what was that guy's name? I forget. Like basically his mentor, he he offered to work for his mentor for free. And his mentor replied and said, "You are too expensive, or your price is too expensive." Like him working for free is too expensive because it takes him, his mentor, more time to train him, and his time is more valuable than free. So, which is pretty telling to it's a pretty telling note to say like, hey, you have to be able to provide value to someone in some way in this world. Like no matter what it is, in order to progress yourself forward, provide value, like give. And when you're first starting out, give. Even when you're super experienced, give without expecting anything in return, and naturally, I think stuff will come back to you. Almost, I don't want to make it seem like karma, but you know, there's a little bit of karma.
Yeah. Um, wait, I have a question. I don't know if you know the answer to this, but
Mm-hmm.
um, how did the guy become Warren Buffett's mentor if he said he didn't want to do it? Did he just eventually do it?
So originally he said no, your time's too expensive, um, and then he had a different opening, like in the future, like a few months in the future. It was his professor at Columbia. Oh God, this is just gonna annoy me, so I'm gonna look it up. Hold on,
But
Warren.
yeah. But another interesting aspect of that is, I mean, that's also a guy where, a lot of the rich and powerful say that time is infinitely more valuable to them than money because they've made enough money to the point where money is irrelevant. They'll
Yeah,
always have all the money they need. So now it's all about time. And that's the most important currency to them.
yeah, yeah. Ben Graham is his mentor, and like,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I would 100% agree. Um, I I'm at the point where it's just like I value my time incrementally more than, unless it's an outsized return money wise. Like, I mean, you can do so much more with your time when you start buying it back. It's not only that you can do more, but it frees up space for your head to not worry about as much. Which I think that
Yeah.
is a very underrated um, thing that we overlook. So like I know there's a lot of people that it's like, oh, you can save until you can save until zero. Like you can't save more than zero. But when you get to the point where you can like start buying back your time and not having to worry about the fiscal impact of it, like it's just so much, it's just like this like It's like, wow, all right, I don't need to worry about that. So then I can, then you can almost focus on giving more for continuing to give more for free for people that are more valuable than you, that can open more doors for you in the future, which I think is a very interesting concept.
Yeah. Another guy that I listen to, Dave Ramsey, who I'm sure you've heard of. I'm sure probably
Yeah.
everyone listening has heard of. He's everywhere. His social media marketing team kicks ass.
Oh yeah, they're
They're
huge. I think
they're
they're like the
massive.
third watched public or privately held television channel in the country or something like
That's
that,
crazy.
or radio channel.
Yeah. Yeah, they're insane and they've done great. But yeah, that's one thing he always says is the best part about being rich is that now you get to be generous. And he goes, and
Yeah.
that's where you realize how awesome being rich is where you are in a place where your bases are covered and now you just get to be generous as hell. And it's awesome.
Yeah. And I would say this, I'm nowhere near him, obviously. I would consider myself rich, but
Mm-hmm.
I think of the times that I have been able to give to other people, it's, you go out with a group of friends and you're able to be like, hey guys, don't worry about this dinner, it's on me. Like, I love the feeling you get from that and the reaction you get from that, because one, it's your closest, like the people who are closest to you, and
Mm-hmm.
you get to see their reaction of just, hopefully it's true friends, but their appreciation for what the gesture means. And I'm not saying that, you spend that money somewhere else or you give somewhere else to like people in need. That's very fulfilling as well. It's just being able to, deepen that connection through act of kindness is pretty special.
Yeah. It is pretty cool. And I've been in the boat where that's happened to me by my friends and like by you and not only you. Sometimes I hate it cuz like I never want to and like I never hate the person, but I'm like I hate that I'm in a situation where the person felt like they not they do it because they want to, and I know that. Sometimes it's like I wish I could be that person, or like I wish we could be on the same page, and like I wish I could do the next one, but I can't necessarily do the next one and like pay for everybody's meal or something like that. So sometimes it frustrates me, which I think is really interesting. Um, because you know what I mean? It's not frustration towards anybody. It's almost just frustration towards like, I don't know, I wish I was doing better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and like if I were you, I would look at it relatively. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I was actually just having this conversation with my parents and a cousin of mine, kind of around stoicism and um, what what guides your actions and responses. It's like, to your point, it's not, it's the other person that wants to give, and they should be giving with the intent of not receiving anything back. But
Mm-hmm.
like, when you look at it relatively, it's like, if you're a millionaire and you pay for $1,000 dinner for 5 people, like that's a very small fraction of your net worth. Now, if
Mm-hmm.
you're someone who is worth $100,000, or say $10,000, and you pay for the same dinner, that's 10% of your net worth. Like, that's a significant amount. So I think it's all relative on what you give, and there's um, people talk about this all the time. It's like, if you're broke and you're not willing to give $1, then when you're rich, you're not going to be. Or if you're worth $100 and you're not willing to give $1, then there's a very small chance that when you're worth $100 million, you're not going to give $1 million. So I think being generous at all aspects of your life, as long as you can kind of afford to do that, is never necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. I also, on that note, I heard a really, and I forget, I think it was an actor that said this. But I think he said, yeah, he said fame and fortune does not um, churn you into someone else. It reveals who you really are,
Yeah. Yep.
which I thought was very, very interesting because it's almost like when you get to a place of status where, or power, I should say, where people aren't, you kind of get yes men around you now. You kind of, people do what they tell you without asking you because you're in a position where you can do that. Some people, that's how they've always wanted to be able to take advantage of that. If they've always had that ability, that's how they would treat people around them. So now
Yeah.
that that option is there, that's how they behave. It's not like they were these really like kind people who treated everyone around them with respect, and then all of a sudden they got into a position where they could give commands and give orders and treat people poorly and get away with it. Then all of a sudden they started doing that. They're like, no, they would always be doing that if they could do that, but now they can
Yeah.
do that, so they are.
Dude, I think that's a very good litmus test too for finding out who your true friends are and um, new people that you want to bring into your life. It's like understand their past. I always used to, I enjoyed history, but like the utility of it, I was like, I don't know. But I enjoy history now a lot more, and also individuals' history. So like having an understanding of what someone's upbringing was and how they acted during that upbringing and what caused them to do certain things and how kind of like what their story was on where they were to where they are now and what impacted that. I think that's super interesting because I do think there are a lot of, you want to call it a red flag or telltale signs of, hey, this is something that could definitely be a red flag in terms of this person's looking to use you. Or like they've never really done anything. It's they've always tried to hop on the next train.
Yeah.
So
And honestly, I personally, I feel like it's kind of easy to identify. I don't know about you. I can kind of spot it from a mile away, I think at least.
yeah.
Have you ever had a situation where someone was getting close to you and you identified that was what was maybe going on and you felt like you had to distance yourself?
I wouldn't say close to me because I think I'm very well versed in psychology, so I can kind of point that out and it kind of sticks out to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, I think the biggest thing is, if someone's story is inconsistent, like that's a major red flag to me. It's just like, wait, hold on, that doesn't line up. And then you kind of ask them more about it, and they talk a lot, but they didn't really say anything. It's like they can't really be. If you're someone who's saying a lot of words but not really getting a point across, I'm always like, can you simplify that? Or and it just comes a challenge. So I think that's, uh, and it could just be a lack of experience. They could have all the good intentions, but it doesn't necessarily mean that hey, like this is something you want in your corner.
Yeah.
And Alex Ramosi has a Alex Ramosi and Charlie Munger. They both have a good um, framework around this. It's like there's 8 billion people in the world. If you even get the slightest hint that someone's off, like don't risk it because I guarantee you there's going to be another person out there that can probably provide similar value to you, and it's just not worth going down the rabbit hole of like, crap, I was a little iffy about this person, and it turned out I was right, and now I'm
I feel
got set back
like
5 years.
I feel like
Just
you're
not worth it.
always right about those things. Not like you, but just in general. Whenever I get that sense,
Thanks, man.
whenever I get that sense, like, oh, someone might be off about that guy. I've yet to be wrong. And I'll say this, sometimes I
Yeah.
do get that sense,
I
but I'm
well,
like, something's off. I'm still going to give you a chance. And sometimes I'm like,
yeah,
I was right. And I now know what that thing was that was off about them, but they still have good intentions overall.
interesting. Yeah, I would agree with you. I think your subconscious tells you it's like, hey, you just get that weird feeling, and it's like, could probably skip on this one. And I think the more I've encountered it, the more I'll like listen to my body or my brain and be like, yeah, don't do it, not worth it. Um, just because it's gonna set you back. Like, what's the best case scenario? You get to the end of whatever the engagement is, and it's like, oh wow, this guy didn't turn out to be a piece of shit. Great, like yay. So then, like the whole time you were working
Yeah.
with them or interacting with them, it's like, dude, I'm so glad you surprised me. I thought you were terrible. It's like I don't know. You just always have that, almost that weight in the back of your head. It's just like you think they're guilty or you think something's off about them, so you can't really trust them. I mean, trust is huge. Like especially, yeah, I know we can kind of even on the relational, personal relational level, and in the business world, it's like if you can't trust someone you're working with, like
Yeah.
why are you working with them? You either need to put it on the table up front, or like go live to fight another day. I am a huge proponent of just trying to live a low stress and low worry lifestyle around the things that don't matter. And if you can avoid that stress level of like, oh crap, I really don't know if this person's going to pencil out, and um, then don't do it. Like there's 8 billion people in the world. You can find someone else.
Yeah.
Like I guarantee you.
One devil's
You
advocate
just
I
gotta look.
do want to bring up is that sometimes people are purposely looking for red flags like that because they don't want to trust somebody. So they'll be trying to find things even if there isn't something there. That's also been known to happen as well. I've talked to people where they're like, "Yeah, I did that. Like I sabotaged this completely. I sabotaged like, you know, someone I was talking to, she said like, yeah, I was like with this guy and I kept trying to find things, reasons not to trust. And then he was starting to get pissed because I kept making accusations that weren't true. And then he left and I basically sabotaged the whole thing and, and blew it up. Yeah.
This is like women overthinking.
Well,
Yeah, don't do that. That's I think that's more of a flag that you need to
oh,
focus on
I've done
yourself.
that. I've done, yeah,
I've
I've
done
done
that
that.
too.
I've
Like
1,000% done that.
yeah, I'll be
I
guilty of
remember
that.
like back in the olden days of college. Like, oh, like, yeah, girl doesn't Snapchat you for 2 days, and you're like, oh,
Good.
she's banging someone else. Cool. Yep, that's what's going on. Well, this is. I will
love
admit,
this.
yeah, and I will
I've
say,
seen those on
one time
podcasts.
that was I was right on the money, but but another.
Oh damn!
No,
I'm
that's
so
okay.
sorry.
It's okay. I've more than moved on. But there were other times when it just totally wasn't the case at all. So it's easy to get yourself paranoid, I guess is what I'm trying to say about things like that. And it's easy to carry over baggage from other things into new people. It can happen. It's probably happens to
Oh yeah,
everybody.
100%. Like I mean, yeah, like trust issues, and I think that's been propagated by social media and online today. Because I was thinking about this when I kind of went through my whole personal development and like
Hmm.
really figuring out who I was kind of journey. And you look it back at our parents' day and age. It's like they might not see their significant
Hmm.
other for a week, you know, because they don't. It's like, where are you? It's like they're not walking
Exactly.
around with the phone all the time. It's like you see them at school, it's great, and then you have to make plans. This is what used to happen. It's like, hey, you want to meet at the
The
carnival
carnival.
at 12 on
The
Saturday?
carnival's in town this Saturday.
Yeah,
Meet me
probably.
at the Ferris wheel at 12 p.m. for a romantic
And
afternoon.
like,
But yeah, yeah.
there you go, man. And you can't text them, hey, running 15 minutes late or like, where are you? It's just you got to show up. It's like I hope they're there because that's where
Yeah,
like
that's
getting
where that became a
stood up
thing.
is.
Yeah.
I mean, you get stood up
Now it's
nowadays,
like,
but it's
yeah,
literally you get stood
usually
up.
like, and the thing is, like, if you were contacting them beforehand, then you have a way to contact them. So if they stood you up, you could text the person to be like, "Hey, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why didn't you show up?" And then you might not, but you might not get a response. But like,
Yeah,
still, like, there's not just that separation where like you never have to encounter that person. Um, Maybe that part's a good thing, but everything
exactly.
else I
So
think
like,
is a bad
I
thing.
I think it's a great thing. What about being able to contact them
No, that I
or you not
like,
show up?
but everything else,
Oh,
everything else. Here, I have an example. Okay, when you're
okay.
into someone, sometimes you start texting every day. Sometimes you might text each other like every hour, and it definitely
Yeah.
gets real obsessive real fast on both sides. I mean, um if it's both parties at play doing it, then yeah, they're both obsessed with each other. Back before texting was common, imagine if someone started calling someone's phone 24/7. You know, talk on the phone, then you hang up, and 15 minutes later, oh hey, oh my god, I just thought of something funny that made me think of you. Yeah, okay, bye. Then you call again. Oh my god, yeah, I miss you. Like, you, the person would be like, this person's fucking nuts. They keep calling me. They won't stop.
Yep.
That's crazy. This person's got to chill and
Yeah.
do their own thing a little bit. But with texting, it's different. With texting, it's normal to do that. It's normal to keep talking to someone throughout the whole day. To text about this and text about that. And then it's like, oh, well, this person has to respond. And then I have to respond. And then they have to. And then like, oh, well, why didn't that person respond? We just went back and forth for like 2 hours straight. What's going on? What are they not interested? It's like, well, they just texted for 2 hours straight. Maybe they decided to be a normal person
Yeah.
for a change. Yeah.
You're going to do something. What is your opinion? So, on that point, I've decided that like I, especially significant others, or it like when I get into another relationship, like I don't really want to talk to the person throughout the day because I want to be able to have that connection at the end of the day where it's like, hey, how was your day? Like, what'd you do today? Tell me something you learned. Um, you know, kind of continue to learn about them, not just like, oh, what'd you do today? It's like, well, we were texting the whole day. I know
Yeah.
exactly what you did today. You know, and I definitely have had done that. In my opinion, incorrectly
Same.
in
Yeah.
prior
I'm guilty of this.
relationships.
I've done this in the
But
past. I'm not like looking down on it. I think almost
I think a ton
everyone,
of
especially
people
our age, has
are
done this.
because I think it's yeah. What is your opinion on just like not replying to text, even though you see them? Because I used to be like, oh my god, I got a text, I got to reply to it. Almost like you're in an active conversation. I've since flipped my mentality around it. It's like, all right, a text is a text. If I don't get back with them for 2 days, like I'm not gonna get back with them for
Uh
2 days.
Depends on the situation. I think if you're actually in a serious conversation, then I think it would
Yeah.
be appropriate to say like, "Hey, I gotta go, but we could continue this later," instead of just ignoring it completely. Depends on the urgency of it,
Yep.
right? Like if it was just a friendly conversation, then yeah, I think it's fine to ignore it. Um, I
Yeah.
ignore text
Yeah.
sometimes. Sometimes I think I actually ignore text a little too much at times, which definitely happens. I'm definitely guilty of that. I'll just be kind of like busy, but oh, okay, I'll get to that. That's not cool. Um, that's definitely not cool. If someone texts you, especially like with a question or with a like, what your thoughts on this or anything like that, yeah, you should be quick to respond. Especially from like a professional standpoint. Like treat sometimes you need to treat text messages like your
Well,
emails, but it depends on what the
okay.
text messages are about.
Here's my opinion on this though. It's like if the if the question they ask you or if the topic they ask you
Call,
about is
yeah,
important enough,
that's so
call me.
fair.
Because like I've gotten texts. I'm like, all right, I know if you spend 10 more minutes, you can probably figure this out
Yeah,
on yourself. So like I won't reply. And like it's almost I'm at the point where the only like during the day, I think from like 7 to 7, I have a focus feature set up on my phone where it's like the only thing that will come in is a call. So unless I check my phone and unless I actively check my text, I can't see anything that comes in unless it's a call, which has incrementally heightened my focus because I'm not like, oh, what this text is important enough. It's like, nope, because then I could just like sit down. Same thing with email too. I mean, investment banking was an industry where it's like you have to be on your email 24/7 because that's the way people
Mhm.
communicate and give you assignments. It's like I'm not doing that anymore. Like you don't need the email. I mean, going back to the history, it was mail. It just got moved online. It's like someone would send mail, and 7 days later you'd get it, and then you'd write something back, and then 7 days later you send it. I'm not saying like respond in 7 days, but it's like put aside a block of your time to respond to emails. Maybe one in the morning, and then one in the afternoon, and one midday, depending on your industry and depending on what's pertinent enough. And then um, use that as kind of your filter on where you're
Yeah.
communicating and where you're shifting your focus. Because otherwise, you're just gonna get wrapped in this loop of like doing work, checking text, doing work, getting distracted from work, checking text, getting into conversation. Crap, I still have to finish work. You get to the end of the day, it's like, all right, I had a okay conversation with someone and I didn't finish all my work where I could have finished all my work if I just focused on it during that whole time and then had a more productive conversation if I just focus 100% of my
Right.
intention there at a different point in the day.
That makes
So,
sense.
but those are my thoughts. Those are my beliefs.
I think it just really
Um,
depends on what it
try it
is.
out. See if it works.
That's for me. I think it's all about context. Um, if it's like actually like a question or something that's important, then yeah, I think you should always respond as quickly as you are free to. Obviously, if you're busy, and that's fine. There's no issue with that. Um, like, here's an example. Like my friend Jack, who lives down here in Atlanta, he texted me like in the middle of my shift, and he was like, "Hey, like if you're down to hang out after your shift tonight, let me know. I might be down to hang out, even though you get off late." And I literally got off. I saw it during my shift, couldn't respond. It just popped up, and then I did my thing, finished up, came home, got home at like after 11, and I hit the sack and I went to bed. And I didn't call him until the next day. But I called him, right? Like just to like touch up. And I was like, hey
Yeah.
man, sorry I totally ghosted you last night. I finished my shift and I called and I went to bed. And he was like, oh yeah, all good. That's chill. It's like that for
Yeah.
me was fine. But then there's other situations. If he was like, "Hey, something really important's going on here. I really could use your advice on something. Can we talk after you're done working?" Then I would have been like, "Yes," and I would have reached out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
just super
Very
situational.
situational. I think yeah, I think you can also train people
I get
too.
what you're saying
And I'm
already.
not saying like, do that in a bad way. It's more like, hey, man, I love you. You're a great friend, or mom, dad, I love you. You're like, if there's ever an emergency, like I will be there. But from the hours of 7 to 7, if you have something that you need me to answer, call me. Like that is the guaranteed way to get a hold of me. Otherwise, I have stuff
Yeah,
I have to do.
yeah. I have another friend, and
So
yeah. Here's a great example. And I just forgot to respond to him because he just says like, "Yo, what up? How you doing?" I'll get that like at 11 a.m. on a weekday. And like sometimes I'll see it and I'll be like, I'm busy. Like I can't chit chat right now. If we want to call and catch up, it's a whole different thing. And I'm so down to do that whenever if I'm have some free time. But I can't just text people during the day
yeah,
just to chit chat. Just like, hey, what's going on? Like, how you doing? Oh. And like just being having that be a text conversation back and forth. I'm so bad at that. But if we call, honestly, a call with me is like a
yeah.
podcast episode. Like it goes for a while. that's
That
that's
is
also
very
something
true.
dangerous with me. Sometimes I like calling a little too much.
Here's the thing too, like with a call,
So
you can
true.
multitask.
That's a very good
Like
point.
you can be productive. Like I'll call with friends or
if you call
people,
me,
like I'm
I
telling
don't
you,
have to
and
listen.
it's like, all right,
A text I have to read, but if you give me a call, I can just pretend to listen to you and do other
yeah,
things.
yep. I hear you, girl.
Yeah,
It's fucking
damn, that's
ridiculous.
crazy.
I know. What are
I
you gonna
get it
do?
though.
What are you gonna do?
I'm not saying
I'm not saying do
I
that.
don't do that myself.
I do think
That
people
was
that do
making a
that.
joke.
I call my mom out for that because, like, she'll sometimes call me or I'll call her and she'll
Mhm.
answer, and I can tell she's doing something, and I'll like ask her something, and then she's
I
like,
do that too.
yeah."
I
She
do
like
that
gives me
too.
that half-ass answer kind of thing, and I'm like, whatever you're doing, either finish it up or just give me a call back when you're done. She's like, all right, I'll give you a call back. I'm like, just don't answer the phone. Like, I'm fine if I'm fine if you don't answer sometimes. Just like,
Yeah.
I would just 100% rather someone be attentive because like I'm pretty direct. So it's like I'm usually calling you for a reason, not to just be like, hey man, Susan was on my ass at work today or something.
Yeah.
You know, some
I do that with my family. Like I will call
but
just to catch
yeah.
up. Like there's nothing urgent going on. And
Yeah.
some friends too. Like I talked to Thomas gave me a call today and we just caught up. Oh, he told me that he says hi and he misses your cute butt or something like that.
Alrighty, folks.
He told
It's been
me
fueled by all these
he
chickens,
said
man.
tell Patrick I say hi and I miss something like I miss his cute butt or his cute face or his, so but he goes and make sure to include that. And I was like, okay, I'll make sure to include that. I don't know if he wanted me to say it on air, but
On the podcast.
but he wants you to know that.
That's right, guys. If you're wondering, I got a cute butt.
Gotcha. Well, should
right.
we start to wrap it up? This was an awesome episode. I love this episode.
Yeah, I think we wrap it there. It bounced around, and we got some entertainment in the beginning, some value in the middle, and then some more entertainment.
So basically,
at the end.
If you want to talk to me, give me a call, and we'll chat. If you want me to not respond to you, send me a text.
Call John.
But no, in all seriousness, I think I could be a little better about responding to some texts. I think there's no doubt about that. I've gotten scolded by my mom a few times, and I've gotten better with her. Also, if people tell me that they're actually like annoyed by it, I do respond pretty well.
Interesting. See, I'm the opposite. Like, I will tell them, like, if someone's like, hey, I text you and you don't respond, I'm like, well, one, I'm busy, and two, if it's important enough, you'll call me. And then either they just stop texting me as much or they start calling me. Which one way or that. I feel like if your mom wanted to reach out, she's gonna call you if you told her that. But your mom might be like,
I think it's a little bit. She definitely calls me more because she knows.
No.
But I've also gotten a little better about responding over text as well. So yeah.
Well, with that,
let's wrap it there. That's all, folks.
Let's wrap it. All right, guys. Thank you very much for listening. As always, this was
I don't know what we're gonna call this one
episode, but sponsored by chickens, and that's
gotcha, dude. We should make it. We should do some sort of like.
But hope you enjoyed it.
Clickbaity title. I want people to actually listen to the episode to hear us talk about this because they deserve it. Like you shouldn't answer your texts.
Let's do it.
Or or like why they don't deserve your time. Something controversial like that.
They're gonna be very confused by the first 30 minutes of it because they're like, "This is not the end of this episode."
I ate chicken for 14 days straight. and I survived.
Dude, that would be a funny. That would be fucking hilarious.
How I lived off a chicken diet for 2 weeks straight.
We'll tell this story in the future.
Oh, that'll be so fun. All right. We'll have some fun coming up with that. Whenever you listen, you'll know what the title is by the time you're listening to this.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you very much for listening. Continue to give us any suggestions.
Yeah.
And
thanks so much, guys. Thanks for sticking around to the end. We love you so much. Thanks for sticking with my craziness. Bye-bye.